There are moments in life, quiet, unglamorous moments, when everything you ever believed about God, freedom, and what it means to be human suddenly trembles and rearranges itself. For Baruch Spinoza, that moment was his entire existence. For us, it will take only minutes. If you stay with me, I'll try to make the strange simple and the difficult beautiful. Before we dive into his life and his ideas, hi, I'm Federico, and this is the Mind of the Masters. If you enjoy deep thinkers and world-changing ideas, make sure you like the video and subscribe. I also want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, which thinker, which writer, which revolutionary mind should I explore next? There's a new episode every day. So now, let's begin. Chapter 1. Who was Spinoza? Baruch Spinoza was born in 1632 in Amsterdam, into a Portuguese Jewish community that had fled the Inquisition. His family were merchants. The city around him was noisy with trade, printing presses, new money, and new ideas. Spinoza studied the scriptures, Hebrew, and philosophy. He earned a living as a lens grinder and produced optical lenses of remarkable quality. A small but important detail, the man who would teach us how to see clearly spent his life shaping glass. In 1656, the Jewish council expelled him. They issued a cherem, a formal excommunication. The reasons were political, religious, and personal. But most importantly, Spinoza's ideas were seen as dangerous. He rejected the familiar picture of a personal, interventionist God. That rejection cut against the core identities of his community. After the excommunication, he lived quietly, working, reading, writing. His most important book, The Ethics, was published after his death. In it, he wrote in the fashion of geometry, definitions, axioms, proofs, because he wanted clarity and necessity, not rhetorical persuasion. He was poor by modern standards, physically modest, but intellectually austere. He died in 1677, probably from lung illness caused by dust from lens grinding. His funeral was unremarkable, his ideas not so much. Chapter 2. Context, the 17th century backdrop. To understand Spinoza, we have to understand the world he lived in. The 17th century was a time of scientific revolution and confessional conflict. Galileo and Descartes reshaped how people thought about nature and knowledge. Religious identities hardened after the Reformation. Amsterdam was a crossroads, merchants, refugees, pamphlets, everyone arguing about God, politics, and money. This atmosphere sharpened Spinoza's attention to what we mean when we say God, law, or good. He did not reject religion lightly. He engaged with scripture seriously. His reading was extraordinarily literal and historical. His claim was not, "There is no God," in a childish way. Rather, the traditional image of a jealous, providential God, a God who rewards and punishes, does not survive rigorous philosophical analysis. Chapter 3. God equal to nature. At the center of Spinoza's system is a simple but seismic claim. God is not a supernatural being separate from the world. God is the one infinite substance of which everything else is a mode, a particular expression or state. In plain terms, there is only one thing that truly exists in itself. Call that thing God or nature. Spinoza says both names are the same, Deus sive natura, God or nature. Why does this matter? Because it collapses the distinction between creator and creation. Mountains, people, stars, thoughts, all are in God, not outside God. There is no supernatural puppet master whispering orders. There is an all-encompassing reality whose laws are the laws of nature. This move does two important things. First, it removes mystery as an explanation. Where people once said, God willed it, Spinoza asks, which part of nature, what set of causes produced this? Second, it transforms piety. The religious life, for Spinoza, becomes the attempt to understand the order and causes of the world. It's radical because it strips away personal divine favor and replaces it with intelligibility. If you want to be close to God, you study the world. Chapter 4. Necessity and Determinism. From the claim that everything is part of one substance follows another claim: everything happens necessarily. Spinoza denies the kind of free will that imagines we could have acted otherwise, independently of causes. His argument is straightforward. If everything is a mode of one substance and follows from God's nature, then everything that exists follows from the necessity of God's nature. Causes produce effects. There is no gap where an uncaused choice appears. This looks scary at first. So nothing is up to me? People ask. Spinoza answers yes and no. Yes, because at the ultimate level events are necessary. No, because human life has levels. We can be confused about causes. We can act from passion, illusion, or partial knowledge. But we can also act from understanding. And this matters for freedom. I want to emphasize an important nuance. Spinoza is not a fatalist in the passive sense. He's an ethical determinist. Understanding the chain of causes is how we grow stronger. Instead of imagining freedom as absolute indeterminacy, he locates it in understanding. Chapter 5. Affects: How Emotions Control Us. For Spinoza, the study of human emotion is central. He uses the term affect to cover what we today call feelings, passions, or emotions. Affects are the ways that bodies and minds change in response to causes. He distinguishes between passive affects, things we suffer, and active affects, things we produce through understanding. When we are passive, we are moved by external causes: fear, envy, jealousy, sudden lust. We react, we are pushed. Active effects arise from clear ideas, from understanding the causes that determine us. When you understand why you feel fear, when you see its causes, the fear becomes less enslaving. That transformation is ethical. You move from being driven by emotion to acting through reason. Spinoza's psychology is practical. He wants to show how emotions can trap us and how knowledge liberates us. If anger diminishes your power to live well, understanding the chain of causes that produce that anger is the first step to reclaiming your life. Chapter 6. True Freedom. So what is freedom, according to Spinoza? Not caprice, not the naive sense of I can do anything. Freedom for him is acting from the necessity of your own nature, acting from adequate ideas. An adequate idea is one that truly grasps the cause. When the mind forms adequate ideas about itself and its place in nature, it becomes less vulnerable to external turbulence. Imagine a ship at sea. Being free is not steering the sea, it is learning navigation, reading the winds and understanding currents so you move with skill. Spinoza's freedom is this navigational competence. You accept necessity, but you master it through understanding. There is an ethical payoff. The more adequate ideas you have, the more your power to act. Your conatus, your striving to persist, grows. You become less at the mercy of fortune and more the author of your days. Chapter 7. Good, Evil, and the Power to Exist. Spinoza reframes moral language. Good and evil are not absolute cosmic labels. They are relational. Something is good insofar as it aids an individual's power to exist and act. Something is bad insofar as it diminishes that power. That sounds technical, but it's useful. Think about food. For one organism, a certain berry is nourishing, good. For another, the same berry is poisonous, bad. The value depends on the relation between thing and organism. This idea dethrones universal moral commands in favor of a more naturalistic ethics. The point of ethics is to increase our power to live and flourish through the clear comprehension of causes. Virtue is not obedience to arbitrary rules. Virtue is living in accordance with reason and thus increasing your capacity. Chapter 8. Practical Consequences. How do we live? If we accept Spinoza's map, what changes in everyday life? First, we stop blaming and start explaining. When someone hurts us, our default reaction is anger and retribution. Spinoza would invite us to ask what chain of causes led them to that action. Not to excuse, but to understand. Understanding reduces destructive passion. Second, we cultivate knowledge as an ethical practice, reading, reflecting, forming adequate ideas. These are not elitist activities. They are the very practice by which we free ourselves. Education becomes moral therapy. Third, politics and tolerance. Spinoza was a Republican in spirit. He argued for freedom of thought because a humane and stable society depends on minds that can think clearly. He saw persecution as counterproductive. Suppressing thought breeds invisible resentments and social instability. Finally, joy as intellectual love. For Spinoza, the highest human state is the intellectual love of God, the joy that comes from understanding the order of nature. It is not mystical in the usual sense, it is the serene pleasure of comprehension, that joy stabilizes the soul and aligns desire with reason. Chapter 9. Influence and Misunderstandings. Spinoza's influence echoes through centuries. Einstein admired him for seeing God in the order of the universe. Romantic poets and radical thinkers found in him a philosophy that refused supernatural consolation, but offered a robust, immanent dignity. But he was also misunderstood. Many read God is nature as an atheistic slur, others read it as pantheism, equating God with everything in a devotional way. Spinoza's position is subtler. He secularizes God while preserving reverence for the unity and rational order of existence. Critics accused him of destroying morality. Supporters said he saved morality by rooting it in human flourishing. Both responses miss how practical his ethics really was. He wanted to replace superstition with understanding, to ground human life in causes we can learn to navigate. Chapter 10. A short reading, a key passage. There is a passage in the Ethics where Spinoza says that the highest virtue is the intellectual love of God, and that by understanding the eternal order of things, we achieve blessedness. Read that in a quiet room, and it reads less like theology and more like a manual for calm. Here is the core idea in a single formulation. Understand the causes that make you what you are, and you will increase your power to live. That increase is virtue. Its accompanying joy is what he calls blessedness. Chapter 11. Objections and Responses. 2 quick objections people raise. First, if everything is necessary, what about responsibility? Spinoza's response. Responsibility makes sense on the human level because we can change our behavior by enlarging our understanding. Punishment without understanding is barbaric. Corrective education is more fruitful. Second, does Spinoza destroy religion? He reconfigures it. For those who need a personal God as consolation, his system is cold. For those willing to convert religious awe into intellectual love, Spinoza offers a profound spirituality rooted in reason and wonder. Chapter 12. Why Spinoza still matters. Why should a 21st century viewer care? Because we live in an age of anxiety, misinformation, and cosmetic quick fixes. Spinoza offers a radical therapy. Look closely at causes, cultivate adequate ideas, transform passions into power. It's a slow medicine for a fast world. He also offers a model of tolerance and civic peace. Build institutions that encourage thought, not persecution. In an era of fractured publics, that's an ethic we could use. Let me end where I began. Spinoza asks us to see differently. He asks us to accept that the world is not arranged for our comfort, but to find in that acceptance the tools for joy. His philosophy is not consolation of the easy kind. It is a practical guide to becoming more whole. If you take away one thing from this video, let it be simple. Freedom is not being free of causes, it's understanding them. Knowledge is not merely power in the abstract, it is the very way we become more fully ourselves. If you enjoyed this walk through Spinoza, subscribe for more philosophy explained with warmth and clarity. Tell me in the comments which part surprised you most, his view of God, his psychology of the passions, or his idea of freedom. I'll read and reply. Thanks for watching. Read a little Spinoza this week. The ethics can be hard, but start with shorter essays and letters. Take one passage, sit with it, and see how it changes the way you look at a single day.